Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're going to talk about something that every business owner, every product manager kind of dreads. What do you do when your success story suddenly, stops? We're going to break down the exact step-by-step playbook that smart companies use to find that next big wave of growth. All right, so I want you to put yourself in this situation for a sec. You've built an amazing business, it's been crushing it for years, and then bam, it just hits a wall. Growth stalls. What do you do next? This is that critical moment where real strategy is born. Okay, so to make this super clear, let's actually walk through a scenario. We're going to follow a fictional company on what is basically a strategic rescue mission to turn their fortunes around. All right, so meet our key study. We'll call them Tech Edu. For a whole decade, they were the name in online tech courses, helping students get those first critical jobs. They were a huge success. But now that growth engine is just stalled out. You can almost hear the alarm bells ringing, right? And this chart right here, this tells the whole story. It is the classic product lifecycle curve. See, TechEdu has already surfed that awesome wave of introduction and growth. They've hit the very top, that maturity phase. And if they don't do something, and fast, the next stop is decline. Their entire mission now is basically to defy gravity and find a brand new curve to ride. Okay, so before we can jump in with solutions, we gotta do what any good doctor would do. Run a full diagnosis. See, great strategy isn't about wild guesses. It's about systematically digging in to find the real root causes of the problem. And, the go-to tool for this, pretty much the first page in any strategist's playbook, is a SWOT analysis. It's such a simple but powerful framework because it forces you to be brutally honest about what's going on. What are your internal strengths and weaknesses, and what are the external opportunities and threats staring you right in the face? And this is how these two ideas work together so beautifully. The life cycle chart on the left, that tells us when the problem hit, right at the peak of maturity. But the SWOT analysis on the right, that's what's going to tell us why it's happening. So what do the diagnoses turn up? Well, it's pretty clear. TechEdu has a great established brand. That's a huge strength. But they are dangerously over-reliant on selling directly to individual students. That's the B2C market. And to make matters worse, their courses are getting old, new competitors are popping up everywhere, and all of this is happening while this massive opportunity in corporate training, the B2B market, is just sitting there, completely untapped. Okay, so our diagnosis is in. We know the what and the why of the problem. Now it's time to figure out the how. We need a map, a guide to get us to growth, and that is where our next tool comes into play. Enter the Ansoff Matrix. And let me tell you, there's a reason people call this one of the most practical, hands-on tools for strategy. I like to think of it as a growth compass. It basically shows you that there are really only 4 fundamental directions you can go. And here it is. It might look a little academic, but it's actually super simple. It all boils down to just 2 questions. First, are we going to focus on our existing products, or do we need to build new ones? And second, are we going to sell to our current market, or do we need to find a totally new market? And those 2 questions create these 4 very distinct paths to growth. Okay, path number 1 is market penetration. This is the safest bet, your bread and butter. It's all about doubling down on what you're already doing, selling the stuff you already make to the people you already know. The whole game here is just to grab a bigger slice of the pie. Path number 2 is product development. Now we're getting a little more adventurous. You're still talking to your loyal customers, but you're building brand new things for them. You're basically using that trust you've already earned to sell them something fresh. Path 3, market development, flips that on its head. Here, you take the products you know are winners, your proven hits, and you go find completely new audiences for them. This could be a new country, a new industry, a totally new type of customer. And finally, we have path 4, diversification. Now, this is the big one. This is the high-risk, high-reward move. You're building completely new stuff for completely new people. It's a bold play. You're essentially starting a whole new business under your current brand. So, you're probably thinking, which of these 4 paths do you pick? Well, the smartest companies, they don't just pick one. They treat it like an investment portfolio. They're placing strategic bets. As you can see here, most of their energy and resources, maybe 40 to 50%, go into the safest bet, market penetration, and only a tiny fraction, maybe 5 or 10%, goes toward that high-risk diversification play. It's all about creating a balanced portfolio of growth strategies. All right, this is the moment we've been building up to. Let's see how this all comes together. We're going to apply the Ansoff Matrix directly to Tech Edu's diagnosis and actually build their comeback strategy right here, right now. And this is where the magic happens. We're literally going to take our SWOT findings and map them right onto the Ansoff Matrix to brainstorm. So for example, let's look at Quadrant 3, market development. That's existing products for a new market. Remember that huge, untapped corporate training opportunity from our SWOT? Bam, a clear idea emerges. Take our courses and sell them to companies. Now look at Quadrant 2, product development. That's new products for our existing market. Well, the SWOT told us our courses were outdated, right? So the strategy is obvious. Build new, updated courses about AI for our current student base. See how every single idea is a direct, logical answer to the diagnosis? So, when you pull all those ideas together from the matrix, you get a really clear, actionable 5-step plan. First, you gotta fix the core weakness, update the course catalog. Second, you need to actually build the teams to go after that new B2B market. Third, get specific and target mid-career pros who need to upskill. Fourth, protect your home turf by partnering with colleges. And fifth, launch those new hot-ticket items like micro-certifications. It's a comprehensive plan. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. What we just walked through with our friends at Tech Edu, that's not some one-off trick. It is a repeatable, reliable blueprint for strategic thinking that literally any business, big or small, can use. And I think this is the most important thing to remember. Real strategy isn't about sitting in a room waiting for a lightning bolt of genius to strike. It's a structured process. You diagnose the situation with tools like SWOT, and then you map out your actions with tools like Ansoff. It's a playbook, not just a prayer. So if you remember one thing from all this, let it be this simple 2-step dance. First, you diagnose. You use tools like the product life cycle and SWOT to figure out exactly where you are. And then you act. You use a framework like the Ansoff Matrix to chart your path forward. Diagnose, then act. That's the core of it. Now, of course, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. The context for this playbook is changing fast. Today, product life cycles aren't years. They can be just a few months. And a disruptive force like AI, it isn't just creating new products. It's creating entire new markets, literally overnight, letting new competitors jump into the game faster than ever. And that leaves us with a huge question, one that every leader is grappling with right now. These classic frameworks are proven. They absolutely built the business giants we see all around us today. But in a future that's being completely rewritten by AI, is this playbook going to be enough to build the giants of tomorrow? Something to think about. Thanks so much for tuning in.